what we expected from this transaction was, for example, transfer of one item from my possession to your possession and transfer of money from your possession to my possession. If that has happened, if this athar, this effect which we were looking for, has been achieved, we say it's valid. Or two people want to get married. If marriage is done in a valid way, they become husband and wife. So al-athar al-matlub here is marital relation. Maybe sometimes it's divorce, maybe sometimes it's renting. There are different types of transactions. So, fil mu'amalat, it has been defined, sahih is defined as something on which the expected or the required effect can be based, can follow. Something that leads to what you want, that effect that you want. كَالْمِلْكِيَّ فِي الْبَيْعِ. In selling, what do you want to achieve? What is the expected effect and outcome in selling? Milkiya, ownership. So if this is done in a proper way, milkiya is transferred. Or ulqatu zawjiyya fi nikah. In marriage, what we are trying to achieve is relation of marriage, marital relation, husband and wife. They become husband and wife. If that is done properly, this outcome would come. Okay, now the question is this. المراد من وضع العبادات للصحيح أو للأعم. Here, what is meant from this question, that whether acts of worship are designated for what is valid only or for what is more general, which includes valid and invalid. So this is the idea. أن ألفاظ العبادات وضعت لما تمت أجزاؤها وكملت شروطها أو لأعم منه ومن الناقص. Are the terms which are used for acts of worship designated for something which has all the parts and conditions? Tammat ajza'uha, its parts are complete and its conditions are perfect and are fulfilled. You know the difference between juz and shart. Yeah? For example, for salat, you have parts of salat like takbir, qiyam, ruku, sujood, qira'ah, okay, tashahhud, salam. These are parts. But to face qibla is not a part; it's a condition. It's shart. Tahara of body, tahara of dress is, these are conditions. Okay? To stand on a place which is permissible, this is condition. So, to be sahih means you have all the parts and you have all the conditions met. Okay. Here, أن ألفاظ العبادات وضعت لما تمت أجزاؤها وكملت شروطها أو لأعم منه ومن الناقص, or for something which is more general from that and what is incomplete. So it can be used even for incomplete. For example, someone says salat and remembers that he missed one ruku. Okay? So this salat is not valid because ruku is rukn and salat becomes invalid. But can we say this is salat which is not valid, or we cannot even call it salat? This is the question. Is it clear? Al-ma'ruf huwa al-qawlul awwal. What is well known, famous, established, popular view among scholars is the first view, the first opinion, which is what? that it is designated for valid salat, valid fasting, valid hajj. المعروف هو القول الأول واستدل له بوجوه مستورة في الكتب الأصولية. For the first opinion, there have been different arguments. They have argued in different ways, which are written down in books on Usul al-Fiqh. Al-Kutub al-Usuliyya, what does it mean? Books of Usul al-Fiqh, not fundamental books. Al-Kutub al-Usuliyya means Kutub Usul al-Fiqh. You know, all these signs that we had, في مباحث الألفاظ, that like tabadur, sihhatul salb, ittirad, tansisul lughawi, those also have been used to say that, for example, when we hear salat, only valid salat comes to mind and precedes other meanings. Or for something which is not valid, we can say it's not salat. So they have used different arguments. But Ayatollah Subhani says, أوضحها, the clearest argument is this. So this is what he is happy with, and he says this is the clearest argument. So this argument for what? Argument for saying that salat is designated for the valid act of worship. Okay. إن الصلاة ماهية اعتبارية. Prayer, ritual prayer, is a quiddity or an essence. Mahiya, mahiya, whatness, quiddity, which is i'tibariya, means it's something which has been introduced by a legislator, lawmaker. It's not something that if there was no human being still was, for example, existing, or no God, if there was no God, was existing. It's i'tibariya, it's something that is based on our agreement or our designation, and God has commanded to do salat. Why? لآثار خاصة, because of some specific effects which are outcomes of salat. And those effects are mentioned in the book and in hadith, in sunnah. For example, الصلاة تنهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر كونها ناهية عن الفحشاء والمنكر. So why salat has been designed, has been introduced by God to us? Because it prohibits doing bad things, ugly actions. أو معراج المؤمن. Salat is like the ascension for the believer, or like a ladder by which you can ascend. وغيرهما, and other effects. وهذه الآثار. Look at the argument. The argument is this: salat has been legislated because of some effects that it has, some results, some impact that it has. And those effects cannot come except when it is valid salat. وهذه الآثار إنما تترتب على الصحيح لا على أعم منه. Those effects can only come and follow what is sahih and valid, not what is sahih and what is invalid, both. وهذا أي ترتب الأثر على الصحيح مما يبعث الواضع إلى أن يضع الألفاظ لما يحصل أغراضه ويؤمن أهدافه. And because the effect comes only for the valid one, so this motivates the legislator or the designator to designate the terms for what can meet his needs and can help him achieve his purposes, and that is only valid one. لأن الوضع للأعم الذي لا يترتب عليه الأثر أمر لغو. If we designate for something which is more general than valid and non-valid, then it means that in the meaning of the term salat, there is no need for having impact, because it is used for both valid and invalid. So then what is the point of salat? Those who disagree and they say no, salat is designated for a'am, not only for sahih, for more general than valid. One of their main arguments is they say the very fact that you divide salat to sahih and fasid means that salat is more general. Say we have salat which is valid, we have salat which is not valid. So it means that salat is a term which can be used for both. But the answer is that yes, it can be used for both. But in one case, it is haqiqi, in another case is majazi. When it is used for valid, it is haqiqi. When it is used for fasid, it is majazi. Yes?
You mentioned that a valid salat has the effects of taking away fahsha and munkar, but an invalid salat doesn't.
Yeah.
But this is salat in terms of the actions and the rukn and everything. What if it's a salat with no presence of heart? Can you still say that it has the effect? Or it will be very minimal? Or is there levels as well?
Yeah. This one actually is also a very good question, because some people may say that if you want to really depend on effects, even some of the valid salats are not acceptable. Because we have sihhatus salat, which is coming when you observe rules of fiqh. But you have acceptability of salat. There might be a salat which is valid but not acceptable. Yeah? Like for example, when you observe the rules of fiqh, but you don't have presence of heart, salat is not accepted. Because only that much of salat is accepted in which you have presence of heart. Therefore, some people have tried to say that if you say that we need to have the effect, even in some of the sahih and valid salats there is no effect. But then it can be counter-argued that the effect can be prohibiting the ugly actions, which is when it is in presence of heart, but it can also be coming when it is just valid as a potential. So, let me give you this example. Sometimes you have a car which is broken. Sometimes you have a car which is not broken but is not driven. And sometimes you have a car which is not broken and it's driven. Okay? Salat which is not valid is broken car. Salat which is valid but without presence of heart is not broken but not driven. It's parked. If it is valid and you have presence of heart, it's even driven. Yeah? So this is the way it works. So you cannot say there is no difference between valid salat without presence of heart and invalid salat, because both of them are not helping us to assent. We say no, still there's a difference. Like a difference between broken car and the car which is not broken and it's parked. Okay? Another example is, I have used this analogy in a foreword that I wrote for one of the books. why we say salat is standing up. Say, قَدْ قَامَتِ الصَّلَاةِ. What does it mean? قَدْ قَامَتِ الصَّلَاةِ. Yes.
Make your salat stand up.
Yeah.
Not rise up for salat, but make your salat stand up.
Yeah, so what does it mean? Or أَقِيمُ الصَّلَاةِ. أَقِيمُ الصَّلَاةِ, you make it stand up. قَدْ قَامَتِ الصَّلَاةِ means salat is standing up. What does it mean salat is standing up? So, I use this analogy. I said, salat is like a bird. If you have a valid salat, you have complete a statue of a bird. You know, for example, when Isa alayhi salam was creating a statue of bird and was blowing into the bird and it was flying. استخلق من الطين كهيئة الطير فتنفخ فيه فيكون طيرا بإذني. Allah says to Isa, when you create from clay a statue of the bird, then you blow into it, then it becomes a bird with my blessing. Okay? If Isa alayhi salam, when he was making a statue of a bird with clay, was not making head of the bird or wing, then that bird was not able to be a complete bird. Yeah? So, he was making a complete bird, then by blowing into it, it had life and was able to fly. Is it clear? So, when you make salat, you are making a statue of salat. And if you observe all the fiqh rules and your salat is valid, so it means that that statue is complete. But still it doesn't have life. It would have life when you have presence of heart. If you have presence of heart, this statue gets life and flies. And you can hold onto the bird, onto the salat, and you can also rise. But if there is no presence of heart, and you just throw this statue, it will not go anywhere and drops. And you have to be careful not to hit yourself, because it can drop on yourself. You know, it says one person was saying prayer quickly, but always changing his time. His place. 2 rakah here, then going another place, 2 rakah. He said, why you keep changing your place? He said, because these salats all come back, so I want to avoid being hit. Because they will be sent back. So, if you throw a statue into air, it cannot fly. Because it doesn't have life. So, salat which is valid, it's complete statue. It has the potential of becoming a real salat, which has life, which has a spirit, which has soul. And that is when you have presence of heart. So those people who believe in a'ammi, their view is a'ammi, they say that salat can be divided into valid and invalid, and this shows that we can use salat in both types. Therefore it is a'am. And the answer is no. This can be metaphorical. It can be used for invalid, but it's a metaphorical use. This is about acts of worship. So, the conclusion is that acts of worship are designated only for valid acts of worship. And if you use it For invalid ones, it's majaz, it's metaphoric. What about mu'amalat, transactions? There are two possibilities here. فَهُنَا تَصْوِيران. You can imagine two scenarios. One is to say that these terms which are used for transactions, كالبيع, nikah, bay means selling, nikah marriage, iqa'at. You know the difference between aqd and iqa'? Aqd needs two parties. Iqa', one party is enough. For example, for selling and buying, we need two parties. Yeah? You cannot sell without having someone who buys. Or marriage has two sides, two parties. But divorce has one party. Okay? There is no ijab and qabul. Is one party. Or itq, if someone frees a slave doesn't need to accept. You free the slave. Okay? So, this is called uqud and iqa'at. Uqud has two parties. Iqa' is one party. There is no need for ijab and qabul. Anyway, there are two scenarios possible to think for mu'amalat. One is that the terms for uqud and iqa'at are designated for the causes, not the end result. You know, sometimes you say bay' is the act of selling and buying. Sometimes you say bay' is the ownership which is caused by this selling and buying. So you can use it for as sabab, the cause, or for musabbab, what is caused, what is the outcome. So the first scenario is أن ألفاظ العقود كالبيع والنكاح والإيقاعات كالطلاق والعتق موضوعة للأسباب. They are designated for the causes التي تسبب الملكية. Those causes which result in ownership, in relation of marriage or separation or freedom. Freedom is for itq, separation is for divorce, ulqat al-zawjiyya is for nikah, milkiyya is for bay'. Okay? So, what is the cause for milkiyya? Al-ijabu wal-qabul fil-uqud. In uqud, in contracts, you have two parties. One is ijab, one initiates, the other one accepts. Bi'tu initiates. Then he says, the other one says ishtaraytu. He accepts. Or zawwajtu, so on with the details. The other one says qabiltu. So this sabab causes relation, or causes possession, causes separation, whatever. ونعني بالسبب الإيجاب والقبول في العقود والإيجاب فقط كما في الإيقاعات. In إيقاعات we have only إيجاب, we don't need acceptance. Okay? So عليه يعتى النزاع في أن ألفاظها. So this debate is reduced to this question: are these terms موضوعة للصحيحة أو لأعم من التام والناقص? Are these terms designated for valid ones, which means those uqud which have all the parts and all the conditions fulfilled, or it can be for more general than complete and incomplete if there has been a transaction which is valid or invalid, still you can say it's bay, but a bay which is not correct, a bay which is not valid. Anyway, this is the debate. Al-Mukhtar. Al-Mukhtar means the opinion that we prefer, we choose. Yeah? Al-Mukhtar, this is not Mukhtar al-Saqafi, yeah? Al-Mukhtar, what we choose, what we prefer, is that in contracts and in iqa'at, the same thing that we said in ibadat, in acts of worship. Nafsul Mukhtar fil ibadat. The same thing that we said that ibadat are designated for sahih, here, salam alaikum. Here also is the same. وَالدَّلِيلُ فِي كِلَا الْمَقَامَيْنِ وَاحِدٌ. The same argument. Because what is rational, what is expected from someone who legislates a term for something from which we expect some effects, is to designate it for what is valid, not something which is valid or not valid. Okay? For example, if a factory produces computers that don't work, okay, can we say still it's computer? No. But with some tasamu, with some, a stretch of the language, we may say this is faulty computer, but in reality, this is Mujaz, because computer is something which has this result. If you have for example, fridge, which is like heater, you cannot say it's fridge. It's not fridge. If you say it's fridge, it's Mujaz, it's metaphoric. It means that it could be fridge. It has similarity with fridge. Otherwise, it has to. Okay?
So, are you saying that it is similar, or are you saying that it was and it's faulty? So it doesn't do its job?
We say this is not fridge.
Okay.
If fridge is what can produce cold temperature, so this is not fridge. Athani, the second scenario for mu'amalat is to say that the terms like bay, nikah, et, talaq are designated not for asbab, rather for musabbabat. So not for the uqud or iqa themselves, but for the results, which is milkiyah and marriage and separation. موضوعة للمسببات, what has been caused means the effect. أي ما يحصل بالأسباب, what can be achieved with those causes. What do you achieve by selling ownership? So ملكية is مسبب, is the effect. كالملكية والزوجية والفراق والحرية. وبما أن المسببات من الأمور البسيطة. These are simple things. Either they exist or not. Either this transaction has worked, so you own this, or no. Okay? For example, you paid money and took something. Either this good has become your property or not. If it is invalid, it has not become your property. So it's not then something for which you can use the term bay. You cannot say bay has happened. Bay has not happened. Or marriage. This is even clearer than the first scenario, because the first scenario, maybe someone says, bay has happened, but there has been no effect. But when we are focusing on the effect, either the effect is there or not. And you cannot say the effect is partly there. Like I told you the story, I think, last year, that someone who didn't know English and had to fill in a form. So the question was, are you married? And he didn't know whether she said yes or no. So said, let me say something in between. He said, a little. So you cannot say, I am a little married. Either you are married or not married. Either you own this or you don't own this. Okay? So even if you have been involved in negotiation, for example, for buying something, or if you have proposed, for example, marriage, you cannot say, I have partly married. You have not married. Okay? It's black and white, either married or not married. وبما أن المسببات من الأمور البسيطة. What are the effects, what are caused, are simple. التي يدور أمرها بين الوجود والعدم. Either they exist or they don't exist. You cannot say partly or a little. فلا يتأتى على هذا الفرض النزاع الصادق. That debate that we had, that discussion that we had, whether it is sahih or am, cannot come here, because there is no way to think that you have a term which is used for musabbab and can be used when musabbab is not there. لأن الملكية إما موجودة أو معدومة. Ownership is either there or not. كما أن الزوجية إما متحققة أو غير متحققة. To be a spouse, it's either there or not. ولا يتصور فيهما ملكية أو زوجية فاسدة. You cannot say there is invalid ownership. You can say invalid transaction. It's possible to conceive invalid transaction, but to say invalid ownership, yeah, you can maybe say, of course, we said even for ownership, we say the term is used for valid, but it's possible to think. Therefore, there is a niza, there's a controversy. But for the effect, you cannot say invalid ownership, invalid, for example, zawjiyah. Either zawjiyah is there or not. Okay? So, the summary, I repeat again, the summary of all discussion is this. Are the terms which have got a religious meaning, al-haqiqatu al-shar'iyyah, are they designated, whether it's ta'ini or ta'ayuni, regardless, are they designated for valid acts of worship or acts of transaction, or for more general than valid and invalid? And our preferred idea has been that they are designated for what is valid. In both cases, whether it's mu'amalat or ibadat, it's for valid ones. If it is used for invalid, it is metaphoric. The next discussion, al-amru thani ashar, 12. And this will finish the introduction. Number 12 is the last one. If you listen carefully for a few minutes, you will get the idea. Then you will have few pages, but in few minutes the idea is clear. If the text was just English, it was very easy, to just explain it. But we are doing two things at the same time. We are, as we say, ضرب العصفورين بحجر واحد. Yeah, with one stone we try to. Yes. Yes.
Quick question. You know, they say that to test the acceptability of your salat, you should see the actions that you do between one and the other. Again, is this very different to the validity, and is the acceptability a completely different thing? And you say it's linked to this topic as well.
That's about acceptability.
So which is a higher level than
If yes, more than validity. Salat can be valid, but as we said, might be not acceptable because there is no presence of heart. There is no seriousness.
Let's say a salat is accepted then. Is there zero chance of...
If it is accepted, then it works. It means that it has been qualified. It has been verified. If it is accepted.
Is that like a litmus test? So if nothing bad happens or you don't do anything bad from one to the
No,
next?
no, still you may do bad things, but salat is a barrier for doing bad things. So you would do less and less, and inshallah, maybe you would finish doing bad things. You would stop doing bad things, you know. إن الصلاة تنهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر. And this can reach the state that you never do any bad things. Okay, what is the question here? Just please listen carefully, few minutes. You know, we have some terms which are used to refer to a kind of condition. A person who is, for example, doing something or has one quality, like ism fa'il, for example, ism maf'ul, all these type of things. For example, katib. Katib means someone who is writing. Jalis, who is sitting, someone who is sitting. Okay? Maqtul, the one who is murdered. Allama, the one who knows a lot. Now, the question is this. These terms, which we call them mushtaq, are they only used for something or someone that is still doing that action or still has that quality, or if something or someone had that quality in the past or used to do that action in the past and has stopped, still we can use that mushtaq for him or it. For example, if someone was sitting 1 hour ago, but he's not sitting now, can we say jalis? No. We cannot say he is jealous. He used to be jealous, but now he's not jealous. Okay? If someone was, for example, eating 2 hours ago, we cannot say he is akil. We can say kana akil, kana jalisa. But we cannot say huwa akil, huwa jalis. Okay? But then the problem is that there are cases in which you seem to use the term even for something which has lost that quality or no longer is doing that action. For example, a person has killed someone. Till the end of his life, they say he is qatil, is murderer. Murderer is not used for someone who is in the process of killing. Even if he has killed someone before, still they call him qatil. Or maqtul is the one who has been killed. Maybe he was killed 1 week ago, maybe 1 year ago, 1,000 years ago. We say maqtul, killed. Or for example, we say writer, katib. Imagine if you have a writer, professional writer, and he's sleeping. Can we say he's writer, or we say he's writer only when he is writing something? Or if someone has gone for holidays, 1 month, we say, is he writer or not? Or driver, so it is driver. This is pilot. So you see, you have cases in which you use the term for something which has lost the quality or is no longer engaged with the action. So this is the question. There are two opinions. One is that mushtaq is used in its true sense, حقيقة في المتلبس بالفعل. What is engaged with that root, like julus or kataba or qat, right now, currently. So we don't use it for something which used to be doing this or having this. The other opinion says, no, if it's right now doing, or in the past it used to do it, still we can use it. Okay? So there are two opinions. The correct view is that it has to be still engaged with that root, that action or quality. But to be engaged for different things is different. For a person who is doing 1 minute, 2 minutes, for example, of eating, or 5 minutes, I don't know, half an hour. Okay, this eating, he eats something and finishes. We cannot say he's eating, or huwa akelun, huwa akelun, huwa akelun. We cannot say. But if it is his occupation, like writer, or if someone's occupation is eating, yes, we can say he's akel, because if there's someone that keeps eating, so even if he doesn't eat something, we can say he is akel. But not just for short period of time. So if someone is doing something as a profession, as occupation, then talabbus is there. Don't think that this is exception. But تلبس كل شيء بحسبه. Engagement for everything, it's according to its own norms. For occupation, talabbus is you still have this job, even if you are sleeping, if you are on holidays, if it is weekend. If you change your job and no longer do that, you can say talabbus is finished. And in this case, then you cannot say he is a still writer. Okay? So please now look at the text. Al-Amru Thani Ashar, the 12th point. هل المشتق حقيقة في خصوص المتلبس بالمبدأ بالفعل أو أعم منه وممن قضى عنه المبدأ. Is mushtaq. Mushtaq literally means what is derived. And inshallah we will explain. Mushtaq means derived. Something which is taken from another thing. In sarf, we say jamid and mushtaq. Yeah? For example, rajul is jamid. Okay? But zarib, maktub, majlis, jarih, these are mushtaq because they are taken from a root. So we have jamid and mushtaq. In Usul al-Fiqh, when we say mushtaq, it overlaps with mushtaq in Arabic literature. We mean by mushtaq something which can be used as a title for another thing. So it includes اسم فاعل and مفعول, but it also includes زوج. Although زوج maybe not from a grammatical point of view is not mushtaq. But for us it's mushtaq. For example, if someone was married to a lady and then that lady, for example, was divorced or died, can we say this is her zawj, this is her spouse or not? So for us, it doesn't need necessarily to be one of those mushtaqat in sarf. It can be one of those or it can be something else. What is important for us is something that indicates either doer of an action or possessor of a quality. Doer of action or possessor of quality. اتفقت كلماته على أن المشتق حقيقة في المتلبس بالمبدأ بالفعل. Their words, means words of usuliyun, ulama al-usul, have agreed, means they have consensus, that mushtaq is used in its true sense for something which has got currently the root, al-mabda. Mabda is like kitabat, like qatl, the root. Yeah, okay? Either it is a quality or it's an action. For example, qa'im, qa'id, jalis, julus, these are actions, qualities, sometimes can be action. أن المشتق حقيقة في المتلبس بالمبدأ بالفعل. They have agreed on this. ومجاز فيما يتلبس به في المستقبل. If something has not yet happened, they all agreed that we cannot use mushtaq for that person, for example. If someone is going to write tomorrow, we cannot say he's qatil. If someone is going to eat tomorrow, we cannot say he's akil. So, if someone right now is doing something, we can say haqiqatan. If someone is going to do it tomorrow, we cannot say haqiqatan. So these 2 points are agreed on by everyone. What is controversial? If someone right now is doing something, there is no doubt that we can say. If someone is going to do future, no doubt that we cannot say. What is controversial is someone who used to do and now has stopped. واختلفوا في من قضى عنه التلبس بالمبدأ. They have disagreed about something that has lost talabbus. Talabbus means having. Yeah? Having. It's like a dress, you know, when you put on a dress. So this is like having a quality or having an action. You no longer possess that. مثلا إذا ورد النهي عن التوضؤ بالماء المسخن. It's said, don't make wuzu with heated water. Okay? الماء المسخن بالشمس. When sun has been shining and has heated water, don't make wuzu. Of course, this is karahat, it's not haram. This nahi is tanzihi. You know, it's not haram. You shouldn't do it. The question is this. If now it's after Maghrib, so there is no sun, but still this water is heated and hot. It used to be, you know, under sunshine finished, but still it's hot. Or maybe even heat is over. Can we say this is musakhanu b'shams? Or we cannot say this is musakhanu b'shams? Okay? Talabbus has finished. مثلا إذا ورد النهي عن التوضؤ بالماء المسخن بالشمس فتارة يكون الماء موصوفا بالمبدأ بالفعل. If it has been asked not to do wuzu with ma' al-musakhkhana bil-shams, there are three options. Sometimes we have water which has this mabda taskhin, heating with sun, bil-fil. Midday, sun is shining, so this is definitely included. No doubt about this. It's mutalabbas bil-fil, no problem. It's clear. Sometimes this water has not yet been exposed to sun. In 2 hours, I don't know, midday, few hours later, يكون موصوفا به في المستقبل. Here also no one has said there is a problem, because still this is not musakhran. Okay? So when it is right now shining on it, definitely this is musakhran. If it is going to happen in future, definitely it's not musakhran. What is controversial is when it used to shine on it and it stopped. Can we still say this is musakhran, or we cannot say musakhran? وثالثة, the third possibility is كان موصوفا به لكنه زال. It was heated by sun, but it finished. وبرد الماء. No, water is cool, it's night. فإطلاق المشتق على الأول حقيقة. When it is at the same time that sun is shining, if it is used in that sense, time, this is truly possible to include, and it will be makruh. The hadith which says that this is makruh includes that. كما أن إطلاقه على الثاني مجاز. If you want to use it for something which has not yet been exposed to sun, this is majaz. So this is not makruh. You cannot use the hadith which says making wuzu with heated water by sun is makruh. You cannot use that hadith for water which has not yet been exposed. أما الثالث. But the third, what is the third? Water which was heated during the day, for example, and now it's night, it's cool. فكونه حقيقة أو مجازا وبالتالي شمول دليلها له وعدمه مبني على تحديد مفهوم المشتق. This is controversial. To say whether this is still musakhan or not, and therefore whether it is still makruh to make wuzu with this or not, depends on this debate. You have to define the meaning of mushtaq. Mabniyun ala tahdid. Tahdid means to define. Mafhum al-mushtaq. You have to clarify whether mushtaq is for what is currently also engaged, or includes what is currently engaged and what used to be like this. فلو قلنا بأنه موضوع للمتلبس بالمبدأ بالفعل. If you say it's only for what is right now actually engaged with that action, يكون الإطلاق مجازيا. Therefore, you cannot say this water is مسخن. It's metaphoric. وَالدَّلِيلُ غَيْرُ شَامِلٍ لَهُ. Then the hadith which is used for karaha would not include this. Okay? وَلَوْ قُلْنَا بِأَنَّهُ مَوْضُوعٌ لِمَا تَلَبَّسَ بِهِ وَلَوْ آنًا مَا. But if we say it is designated for something which has done that action or has got that condition, even for a second, for a moment, that's enough. Till end of dunya, you can use that for it. Then you can say this is musakhan and it's makruh. ولو آنا ما, even if it's for a moment, فيكون الإطلاق حقيقيا والدليل شاملا له. So this usage would be true, non-metaphorical, and the hadith which says wuzu with ma' musakhan is makruh would include this case. Okay, this is the debate. Al-mashhur, what is famous, what is more established, popular among scholars is أنه موضوع للمتلبس بالفعل. It is designated for something which is currently, right now, متلبس, has got that root, that maddatul fi'l, which is either an action or a quality. قبل الخوض في المقصود نقدم أمرين. Before we delve into what is needed, what is our intention here to discuss, we need to mention 2 points. So there are 2 introductory marks before we delve into the debate. Okay? The first is not something very important maybe for Usuli, but we have to clarify it so that you don't get confused with mushtaq in sarf. الفرق بين المشتق النحوي والأصولي. The distinction between mushtaq in nahv, which is actually more about sarf, but you can say nahv in a general sense. Mushtaq in Arabic language, when you discuss jamid and mushtaq when you use it in Usul al-Fiqh. These are not exactly the same thing. There are lots of overlap, but they are not exactly the same thing. Al-mushtaq inda al-nuhat. Mushtaq, according to experts of ilm-nahr, which I think it's better to say expert of sarf, but maybe it means by nahv both sarf and nahv. For experts of sarf morphology, mushtaq yuqabilu al-jamid. It's used in contrast to jamid. Jamid means has not been taken from any other word. It's coined, designated directly. Mushtaq means that you have a root and a cast. You take that root into that cast and make one of the things which is making Arabic language very easy and very capable is that you can make hundreds of words from the same root. If you know the rules of sarf, you can make hundreds of words. Just if you know ilm and you know sarf, then you know what is alim, what is a'lam, allam, ma'lum, alim, ma'lam, ma'alim, ma'lum. All these things you can understand. And also different forms of this. For example, alim, aliman, alimain, aliman, ulama. All of these, hundreds of different words you can understand. Those who don't know sarf, when they are faced with these words, they think each of them is a new word. But those who know sarf, then they realize that there are lots of similarities between them. Okay? So, in sarf or nahv, mushtaq is what is opposite to jamid. فيشمل الماضي والمضارع والأمر واسم الفاعل ومصادر أبواب المزيد. It can be used for verbs, past tense verb, present tense, future or present, both is muzari, because muzari in Arabic is for present and future. Command, prohibition. But in usul, verbs are not included. When in usul we say mushtaq, we are not talking about verbs. Okay? So this is one way that they differ. Ismul fa'il, masadir wa abwab al-mazid. You know, sulasi mazid. This is also mushtaq. For example, if you say iktisab, iktisab is taken from kasb. But in usul, our discussion doesn't relate to iktisab. In usul, we want only those things that can be applied as a kind of adjective. Okay? So ism fa'il is good, but verbs no. Masadir no. Okay? أما المشتق عند الأصوليين فهو عبارة عما يحمل على الذات, something that can be predicated of an essence باعتبار اتصافها بالمبدأ واتحادها معه, means مع المبدأ. You can use it as a predicate for an essence because that essence has got this. There is kind of unity between them. وَلَا تَزُولُ الذَّاتُ بِالزَّوَالِ. But even if you remove that from that essence can still be there. For example, Zaydun Khatibun. Khatib can be predicate for Zayd. But Zaydun Kitabatun, no. Zaydun Mukatabatun, no. So those are not mushtaq. Zaydun Natiqun, Haywanun Natiqun, masala, no. Why? Because if you take Haywan and Natiq, there is no Zayd left. We need something to be left so that we can say, is it still possible to call it with that mushtaq or not? Is it clear? So there has to be a kind of unity in existence, but لا تزول الذات بزواله. But that essence should not disappear, should not cease to exist if that adjective or that quality stops. فخرجت الأفعال والمصادر. Verbs are not included in Usul al-Fiqh definition of mushtaq. Also, masadir are not included because you cannot apply them, you cannot use them as a predicate. Ala nahwil huwiyya. You cannot say Zaydun kitabatun or Zaydun mukatabatun, Zaydun julusun. There is hamle zuhu. Have you studied zuhu also? Hu and zuhu. It's not Apache way of talking. Okay. Hu means that subject and predicate are identical. Okay? Either hamla awwaliya zati or shayir sana'i. We had it before. Zuhu means that you cannot use this as a predicate unless you suppose that zu is meant. It's muqaddar. Zu means owner. For example, Zaydun adlun, in the sense that Zaydun zu adl. You cannot directly say Zayd is justice, but you can say Zayd is the possessor of justice. This is called hamle zuhu. Means that you have to suppose that there is something here which is not mentioned but meant. It's muqaddar. That is zu. Okay? So you cannot say Zaydun kitabatun bil haml huhu. Zuhu is not beneficial for us because even jamidat, you can use with zuhu as predicate. We want something that can by itself be used as a predicate. Okay. كما خرجت الأوصاف التي تزول الذات بزوالها. Okay, verbs are excluded, masadir are excluded. Those also adjectives that if they cease to exist, there would be no essence left, like natiq for Zayd, because Zayd in its own essence has haywaniyya and natiqiyya. If you remove natiqiyya, you don't have Zayd. كالناطق الذي هو الفصل للإنسان فلم يندرج فيه. So nothing is included in mushtaq usuli إلا اسم الفاعل. Okay, so from mushtaqat in sarf, only these remain. Verb, masadir, no. اسم الفاعل والمفعول means اسم المفعول. أسماء الزمان والمكان means أسماء الزمان أسماء المكان. You know اسم الزمان اسم المكان. اسم الآلة الآلات اسم الآلة مثل مفتاح. مفتاح is the instrument for opening key. صفات المشبهة صيغ المبالغة وأفعال التفضيل. ويشمل. Okay. So these are the things that are mushtaq nahwi and mushtaq usuli. Okay? They overlap. In this area, اسم الفاعل مفعول صفت مشبهه صيغه تفضیل اسم مبالغه اسم مکان اسم زمان اسم الآلة, they both apply. So this is common. There was something in mushtaq sarfi which is not included, and that is verb, masadir and natiq, for example, for insan. There is something in mushtaq usuli which is not included in mushtaq sarfi, and that is what, like zawj. Because zawj can be used as a predicate, although it is jamid. وَيَشْمُلُ حَتَّى الزَّوْجَةِ وَالرَّقِيقِ وَالْحُرِّ. It can be used zawj, zawjah, raqiq means a slave, hur means free, because that criteria which we have mentioned applies also here, and that is to be used as a predicate. فالنسبة بين المشتق النحوي والمشتق الأصولي عموم وخصوص من وجه. So the relation between these two concepts is عموم وخصوص من وجه, means they overlap, like two circles, yeah, two circles that have something in common and two separate areas. There is something in circle A which is not included by circle B, and there is something in circle B which is not included in circle A. Okay? The second point, I think we leave it for next session, although I have already explained for you. And that is, there are different types of talabbus. Sometimes talabbus is a kind of occupation. Sometimes talabbus is something that is just a verb. It depends. If you want to really see whether mushtaq can be used for what has lost the engagement, you have to be careful that what type of engagement is meant. Engagement with a profession or occupation is different from engagement with an action. Engagement with action stops when action stops, but engagement with a profession, occupation, stops when you give up that job. Not when you are asleep, for example, when you walk. Inshallah, we will continue this discussion, inshallah, next session. Please read the book and prepare yourself so that, inshallah, we can go. I have already mentioned everything, but just to read the text, we leave it for next session. وآخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين.